Welcome back to the Dreams podcast. I am so excited to have my next guest, Mr. Johnny Nomad himself. Today we will be talking about passion in the dream. So he's a podcast host of Johnny Nomad Presents, author, two-time author of the book Purpose and the book Inside Out, and he's a speaker as well, featured in none other than this year's Loving Me 2020. Let's get
That's right.
excited. And you can find him at Johnny Nomad Presents. Welcome to the show, Johnny.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be in your podcast.
Absolutely. I'm honored to have you here.
Stop it.
No, seriously. When I was thinking about who I wanted for season one, I definitely was like, I'm going to tap into my personal network because I know too many phenomenal people who are just doing amazing things. So I'm happy to have you in our inaugural season.
Thank you.
I'm glad. So I'm going to start by asking my first question, which is, what is the dream?
The dream. All right. So the dream had to evolve. First, I didn't know what the dream was, to be honest with you. Just to start off, I knew I wanted to do something. Didn't know what. I knew I had some type of talent, and I didn't know how to grow it or to kind of water it yet. And it became to a point to where I realized I want to do something for the culture, and that's when it kind of evolved from the culture piece. And I said, well, what about the culture? What's out there already? What hasn't been done, and how can you impact? And that was huge for me as far as the impact piece, because I didn't want to be a carbon copy of something else, nor did I want to just do something just for the sake of saying I had something.
Right.
So like I said, the dream was there as a general sense of let's get something done culturally. And then I came up with an idea, and it was late 2017, and where it was just about, okay, well, let's do something for brown and black people. Still didn't know what it was, though.
Right.
Still did not know what it was.
Not necessarily how.
Yeah, exactly. And to kind of fast forward a bit, that's when I decided to do the podcast in 2018. And I was just talking to myself. I actually just used my cell phone. I was just recording myself on my cell phone. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I was just posting stuff. And I had like a couple of listens. And that was actually for me listening to myself to make sure it was working. And now to 2019, to where it finally came together. To where the idea, the dream, the execution all came together, and now I have Johnny Nomad Presents, and I present great stories, which I had you on as well. Great stories from great brown and black people. I really focused on a lot of brown and black women as well, because I think brown and black women don't get enough attention and don't get enough kudos to what they bring to the table culturally and how they hold the culture down, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I go after that, and of course, it's a good story. Stories that you don't hear in the news. We always get portrayed in the news as something always getting bad. We always getting shot at, but we never hear about the scientists, the authors, the poets.
Right.
The people who are really doing things out there that we don't have those stories. So that was my goal, to get that out. The dream is still being worked on, because I want to change the content to where I'm presenting it different.
Okay.
And I want to get it to what's really heartwarming and almost documentary style is my goal one day, to be honest with you. To where I'm presenting these stories to where people can really feel it and say, wow, that person's amazing. And the other part of it too, though, was that I didn't want to get people who were super, super ahead where they were going to be at. So, like, of course, you can get to anywhere right now, right? There's a lot of people like Les Brown, everyone, like people like that. You can always get motivational speakers that can listen to that's there. I want to get people on my podcast that were a level or two of where someone wants to be, to where they can see it's attainable. That person still has a day job. That person is still, trying to figure things out, but they figured it out and had some success from it. Yeah. And to me, that motivates the person more, saying, "Oh, you know what? If she's doing it,
Too.
I can do it too, because she's not too far from me. Wow,
Right.
I can touch and feel her. I can touch and feel him. So I want to have people around that was on the grind, doing the hustle, still struggling, you know, to make
Still
it happen.
figure out the dream.
Yeah, to try to figure out the dream. So then that way they can grow with their audience, and the audience can say, "Man, I knew this person when they were just doing these crappy videos and these interviews, and
Mhm.
now look at them now. Look at the stories they're telling."
Yeah.
So that's how the dream came
Evolve.
about to me. Evolved,
Yeah.
evolved.
So I want to highlight a couple things that you said that I think are key as far as like success. So one, take action,
Right.
right? You felt an urge to start your podcast and you started it without the technology, without
Yeah.
the connections, without the resources. So one, take action,
Right.
right? Two, take initiative. So how I ended up on your podcast, we didn't know each other
Yeah.
prior to my appearance on your podcast, but you reached out and was like, "Hey, I think you're dope. Can you be on my podcast?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And from there, we formed such a positive business relationship
We have.
from
Yeah.
one message. But a lot of times people feel like, well, what if they don't respond? What if they don't answer? What if they say no? But what if they say yes?
And that was my thing. So I came to the point of beginning of 2019. I was getting guests, but it was strictly audio. There was no video.
Mm.
Actually, I'm sorry, it was strictly audio, and I got a couple of guests still with audio. And before I got the guests, I was like, man, I'm running out of things to talk to myself about. And some
That's
people do well. Some people have podcasts that it's just them talking, and they do really well.
Mhm.
But that wasn't me, and I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna start looking for people online, and I was using Instagram, and I was like, well, I gotta vet these people too, right? I gotta make sure that they
Right.
are who they are.
Exactly.
So I started following random people, but I guess it wasn't random because I was hashtagging certain keywords
Mm-hmm.
for interests I wanted to interview of, whereas poets and writers, life coaches, lifestyle folks, and that's how I found you through life coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hashtag life coach, and I go, who's this person? Is I clicked on
Yeah.
you, and then I started just following you, and then you just post and see how consistent you was with it, and then I really wasn't concerned about your followers. I was
Mhm.
more concerned about your consistency.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I was looking at that, looking how deep you was going, and I was like, man, yeah, she is dope. And that's why I asked her. I was
Yeah.
like, and I've stayed in connection with every person I've interviewed,
Mm-hmm.
and I check up on them once a month still.
Yeah.
And it's gonna get harder as the list grows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I had to break it up to different months, but it's because, like you said earlier, about building your network. And yes, I got told a lot of no's. I got a lot of non-answers. Notice no one just
Right.
yeah, and that's fine. And the yeses that I've gotten, I have done over 65 episodes.
Right.
So
That's my thing too. So when I'm pitching myself for speaking engagements, like if I reach out to 10 events and send my information and two of them respond back with a yes, that's a win.
absolutely,
I could care less about the 8 people who either didn't respond or didn't answer. But sometimes people be like, oh, but 8 organizations didn't respond. And it's like, okay, but baby, focus on the two that say yes. Because those are two more people that you didn't even know
correct.
prior to putting yourself out there. So definitely put yourself out there, surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah,
And hashtags work, guys. Like any business owner not using hashtags, you're
yeah,
crazy because people
absolutely.
search these hashtags. So tell me something that you're passionate about. I like to think of your passions being that dream that doesn't let you sleep. So what are some things that you're passionate
It's
about?
it's my writing. I've
Mm,
been writing since I was 13, and it started off with a breakup from a girl. She broke up with me,
that'll do it every time.
and I wrote my first poem. And I cut school. I went to the mall, sat at the food court, and I was just writing a poem off of that breakup. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. And for many years, I doubted my skill set as far as my writing. and
Yeah.
I always put myself off as, oh, you're not as good. I would read. I was always always consume content, a lot of reading, and I would write so many short stories or poetry, and I'll just keep it to myself, have books upon books. And not until last year was when I finally pushed myself and said, you know what, screw this. It is what it is. You just put yourself out there. Don't try to be like nobody else. You be you. You're your own voice, and you're gonna find your audience. Is
Yeah.
that's what I did. I put it out there. It could have been way better. I learned so much from what not to do now.
Hello.
So, so my first
Did
book,
self-publishing, right?
yes. So my first book was very, very just wow, just grassroots. Did everything myself, even down to the art cover work.
That is a hell of a project.
Yes, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'm sorry if I can kind of curse,
Oh,
but
listen.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I read a lot, online. I watched a lot of YouTube as well,
Yeah.
and I just did it. And of course, the fit and finish could be a lot better. The
Mm,
execution. So I'm gonna now that the second and third book I'm gonna come out with totally different now because the education is there, the knowledge there.
exactly. Now you know.
Now I know. So now we're actually gonna put some money behind it. So I'm gonna do like 3 to 5 grand and put it behind it. Go with an independent publisher to help me with the
Okay.
marketing, right?
Gotcha.
So going through these things and interviewing publishers because I want to make sure I have the right publisher understands what I'm going for, right?
Right.
That I'm going for a market of brown and black folks. Do you know how to market to those people? We are
Yeah.
different, right?
So I know for my fourth book, I'm actually thinking about doing 100% of the work myself. I'm going to hire an editor because
Of course,
please
yes.
do not edit your own work
Do
under
not.
any circumstance. Like,
No.
because you know what you meant to say.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that's what you said. Anyways,
Correct.
but my first two books, I went with a self-publishing company. And then book number three, I went with a traditional publisher and pulled out last minute. Like after it was finished, I decided to just do it as a self-publishing concept because she wanted to charge something like $10 a book just to print. I'm like, baby girl, Amazon is $3. Like, what are we
Yeah.
talking about? And and I would have had to go through her for the rest of my life. You're not gonna own
No.
my
No.
books. So after she finished like the editing, the formatting, et cetera, she's like, oh, on top of that $3,000 that you've already paid me, now you have to pay me to print your book.
What?
Nah, I tell you
No.
what, just send me the digital copy. I'll put it on Amazon. We're good. Like we're good. Like
Right.
seriously. Now I still probably will use them to do the editing because that editing that I got from her company was phenomenal. Like the process
Right.
was great for the editing piece. But you're not gonna control my words.
So
Not how
that's the biggest thing I think when people first start out is how much you want to take ownership of and not give up
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
And when you start off, people are gonna prey on you for that,
Right.
right? And
Right.
because you get so excited and so happy that something is
Like, oh,
being
it's
done of yours,
published.
yes, that you if you lose your rights to it, let's say they want to make a movie off of your book, you're not getting jack from it.
Hello. And that's part of it too, because my little sister is in film school. And I already told her, I was like, Fig- figure out however this works, but you have the rights to my story. Like, and to not what I look like being a published author, and my sister's a film director, and I'm not giving her my book rights. Like that
Exactly.
just don't even make sense, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
so yes, for sure. So it's very off. It's not often that we're able to turn our passions into our paychecks. But I know
Correct.
from previous conversation that that's a huge goal for you in 2020. What are some things that you're putting in place in order to be able to take that leap?
Well, the biggest thing I have right now, I do have a sponsor for my audio podcast. So I'm getting money off of that, which is fantastic.
Let's talk
So
about that later.
so for the audio part of my podcast, and this is what people have to consider about content. Your content, one piece of content can be broken up to so many different pieces of content. So your podcast, like this one right here for this video podcast, one is video, right? One it could be definitely auditory, be audio, right? The other one could be transcription on a blog. So you take this actual interview, transcribe it, put it on a blog, monetize your blog, monetize your audio, then and then YouTube Once you get to a certain point in YouTube, then they'll put ads on your video, and you get monetization that way. So then that's 3 ways from one piece of content that you can monetize your stuff from, which is huge, right?
Yeah.
Um, and the source for everybody to do, but let's say you want to do a podcast right now, I have something free for you guys that I wanted to talk about in the conference. I didn't get a chance to speak on.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give that to you guys now. It's called Anchor. Okay. Anchor is a free app. And this free app is actually they just Spotify just brought them out this past summer. And they actually put your podcast onto 10 different audio platforms: Apple, Google,
Right.
obviously Spotify. And they also provide a sponsor
Hmm.
for you. And based off your viewership, you wind up getting more and more dollars because of it, because you'll get people who want to grow. So you'll start off small,
Hmm.
right? They'll give you a copy to read, and copy pretty much is a script. So people once you get into the business, you got to learn all these things, people, right? So
Right.
you get the script to copy. You're gonna read it, and they tell you, hey, there's certain bolded areas you have to read specifically, right? And the
Hmm.
other one, and other pieces, they want you to kind of just inflect
Make it.
your style, make it your own,
Yeah.
and you can put it in the beginning of your podcast, middle, or end. Um, and you want to definitely put it in between the beginning and the middle, and break it up so you can get that ad in there. It's huge. The other part of it for me next time going around is definitely get outside sponsors. Um, Also to the point that the book, like I said, for next year, I have a third book coming out, Reflections. So that's going well. I do have again Purpose and Inside Out is doing well. Amazon. Um, I have a great reviews on there so far. It's fantastic. So the people who have read that book already would be the audience to purchase my third book. And that's what people have to understand. You're building your audience. It's
Right.
very similar to music when you have a catalog, right?
Mhm.
You can live off that catalog for many years because people are going to continue buying that music. The same thing with your books. As you continue writing, and writing a book is not easy. It's very hard. You have to be very dedicated, very disciplined. It's very easy to say, screw this, I'm not writing Jack. But it can be done again if you're disciplined and really, if this is really what you want to do. But it does take time. I know right now I have 7 books in my head with notes already in my notebook that I have especially for my books that would take me to 2026, 2027.
Yeah. I'm on that train too. I
You
have
know,
quite a few books in progress.
yeah.
From my
And
computer. I don't have space in my head. I'm sorry.
it's tough and it's fun. A lot of my book, I do have a book that I've been working on for the past 8 years,
Okay.
and it's an urban love story, and it's from a male perspective, and
Hmm.
it's called Brooklyn Love,
Okay.
and I'm
Because
going
you
to want to
live in Brooklyn, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be a series. So I'm going to finish this book off finally. I'm going to get that done in 2020 after my reflections book this year, and I'm going to see if I can just produce 2 books next year and get that romantic love story out there from a guy's point of view, right?
I'm here.
And just again, like, don't pigeonhole yourself, right? Do things that you are passionate about. So me writing these kind of um, purposeful books and inspirational books is great, and I'm glad the book I did last year was my first and not the Brooklyn Love, because I educated myself on
On
how to
how to
produce
do it
something.
correctly. Yeah.
Right. So then that book has a better chance of being more successful. So think of your first thing of anything as a sacrificial lamb. But
Yeah.
it's going to be the best thing ever, because that again, it's going to show you what to do for next time around. And the more education you get, the more people you get to meet. Man, the knowledge that we have as a culture is fucking phenomenal. It's amazing. We have to get better at sharing it.
I agree. I agree. So along those lines, what is an imprint that you want to leave on the earth?
I want my legacy to be known as, wow, he cared about the culture.
Hmm.
You know, that the culture has so much to give. He saw that, and he wanted to expose it. That's my, I want to expose us for the best things that we have. I'm Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. My kids range in different color schemes. I have an Afro Latina wife who looks just like you. So my daughter looks just like her, and so
Yeah.
they have kinky hair. If
Yeah.
we live in the South, it's humid. She's still getting a weave because it keeps
Bless
it.
her heart.
Yeah.
Because simple. Exact. Like
Yeah.
that's
So
thank you for just acknowledging that that's a thing.
it's listen. My wife has a lot of hair,
Mhm.
but even with her
There's
10
a lot
pounds of hair,
with.
she still needs a weave.
Yeah. And
And
that's
it's
how
not to look white.
we do.
You haven't.
Exactly.
It's not to look white with a
It's
straight
not like
hair.
waking up and just going. This is
Exactly. It's about
natural hair
maintenance.
is a process. It's such a process.
Yes.
And when people say, "Oh, you're getting natural hair because you're lazy or cheap," I'm like, actually, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Maintaining natural hair is a very expensive, incredibly time-consuming process.
Yes.
So my hair is natural too, but I prefer weaves and braids because I don't want to deal with it.
No. Not at
I'm
all.
scared.
Yeah.
And I'm such a like I am such a get up and go kind of girl. Like I only do makeup for speaking engagements. Like I really I'm either in heels or sweatpants. But even in the heels, like you get my bare face, you might get some
Right.
Carmex, not even lipstick. Like be thankful I put Carmex on today. Like and having your hair in a either weave or braids make it so much simpler, especially in the South because it's hot and my hair
It
gets
is.
hot. And how I'm gonna work out and then
Exactly.
going about my
Because
day.
if you blow your hair out, you sweat. You're done. It's
That's
over.
it. That's it.
So
And
me
even
knowing, me
twist out
learning all this
doesn't
stuff,
look
yeah,
the
me
same.
learning this stuff. 'Cause I got to take her there, right? So, and like I said, my kids range from very dark to very light, and
Yeah.
my conversations with my sons have four. So I have 9 kids, right?
Sheesh.
Yeah. So
Woo.
it's a blended family.
But
They all don't live
that's
with
still
me.
a lot of children running around.
That is, and most of them are they're all in their 20s. A lot of them are older.
Okay. Okay.
So but my boys, they're ranging different shades, and when they get together in the car, there's no hoodies allowed. There's no scullies allowed. No hats allowed. I tell them straight up, like, someone stops you, just listen. I know you see all these videos about the whole rights thing. Just give me your ID. Don't mess around. Don't try to act like you know the law. Just be as humble and just give it to them. And then people may disagree with me with that. That's fine. But these are my kids,
Those are your
and
children that you
and I want to
because
give
no
them the most.
one's gonna go to that funeral with you. If the
Exactly.
cop pulls the gun, no one's gonna sit at that funeral and tell you, "Oh, you shoulda."
Exactly. So I'm giving the best advice I can give them based on how I grew up in the hood and the projects
Yeah.
and how I was discriminated against. Just walking, I would get pulled over by the cops in Brooklyn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they didn't have to experience that. So
Yeah.
they don't know what that looks
They
like.
don't. They weren't groomed
They
for
weren't.
what the gang of a police system is.
Correct. Because I went from the projects and I moved my kids to a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Big
So they
freaking
didn't
difference.
have that exposure.
Not at
So
all. They're not street smart at all. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And that's fine. That was a sacrifice I was willing to have for the life that they're gonna live that I couldn't
But you
have.
still had the conversation. And
Absolutely.
I remember when there was such a string, like you had um you just back to back, like
Yeah.
hashtag this phrase, hashtag like there were just so many back to back. And I distinctly remember when Sandra Bland was murdered. I'm going to say murdered. And the reason that hit home, she was in my age group. She was outspoken just like I am. She's my sorority sister.
Wow.
And it was the first time I looked at these hashtags and said, that absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, could have been me.
Yeah.
And that was the first time my mother had the conversation. I was in Charlotte when it happened. Um, and I remember my mom calling me and she was saying, listen, if you get pulled over, I don't care what you have to do, but you have to come home. And I will never forget that because I know those are not conversations that white mothers have to have.
Oh, not at all.
But the fact that she said to me, she said, don't talk back, don't fight back. I need you to come home.
Yeah.
And those are conversations that fathers have had to have with their sons for generations. But
Yes.
now it doesn't even matter. Like, and it's one of those things where you know that they're after black men, but it doesn't hit home until it could be you.
You're absolutely right.
Saying,
It doesn't hurt until the community. So what happened to me in 2017, I wound up, I was living in South Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
and in Henry County. And man, what happened? It was just, again, it was just a rash of shootings happened again. I actually went ahead and wrote a letter to the chief of police, and I had a meeting with him.
Yeah.
And my wife couldn't believe it. She's like, are you crazy? I was like, no. I need to find out who's on the streets, what the perception from my end is with their vehicles and the lack of engagement they have with the community. When I was growing up in Brooklyn, we had a beat cop. And the beat cop would walk the streets. He would walk on the block. He knew everybody on the block. He would go
Mm-hmm.
into all the businesses, say hello to the business owners. He would tell the drug dealers, "Step out of here, get out of here." You know what I'm saying? Um, and you knew him. He would play stickball with us and everything.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen no more.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And because of that, they're stuck in their cars with black tinted windows, and they're hidden, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to see them for what they do. And I get it. Listen, cops have a really hard job. And my cousin, he was an NYPD officer, and he put me on to something. And there's not to make any excuse for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But he told me, hey, imagine someone being on a police force for 20 years and they see murders, they see babies being put inside the microwaves, they see heads cut off, they see beatings, they see people just blood everywhere, homes just ransacked and chaos. You see humans at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, that sticks to you. And he
Yeah.
said, and these police officers and ladies are working with PTSD and not really getting the treatment or help they need consistently
I
to,
believe it.
to get those things out of your head. So when
I
they
believe,
do roll up on a car, they don't know you. You know who you are. They don't
yeah.
know you. Again, that doesn't excuse them from this when people are trying to go for shit that they tell us go for. Like they told me go for my wallet. I gotta go for my wallet. Don't shoot me. They told me go for my freaking wallet. And that's
Yeah.
totally different. There's bad cops. There's still good
Here's my
cops.
thing. I get that wholeheartedly, and I am an advocate for mental health. So
Hmm.
I personally believe if you're struggling with PTSD, you need to get the help that's accessible to you.
Absolutely.
However, what I will also say is from a devil's advocate perspective, you have training, you have resources, you have support. There is no way that someone with training, bulletproof vests, all this other stuff on, and you are genuinely afraid of a skinny female in a sundress.
Hmm.
Like, what could she have done that was so threatening? If not, I think the part that threatened him was that she knew something, that she was willing to have knowledge and express that knowledge. Because when he said, "Put out your cigarette," she said, "I'm inside my car. I don't have to do that." And that's when he snaps.
I
He
totally
started
agree.
pushing her out the car, slamming her on the ground. You at least twice her size, and you have your knee in her back, talking about she's resisting arrest. Houseway. Like the whole scenario doesn't make sense. I'm
No, it
gonna
doesn't. It's
like
it's a, it's a, it's it's a power thing, right? They get very
it's
aggressive with their
oh,
power,
for
right?
sure.
They get too big with it. I'm not sure how their training is. Yeah, they get training. What are they really told? What
Yeah,
are they really trained on and how to handle the public? Obviously, they don't know how to diffuse situations at
I
all,
I agree, but that's
right? So that is a huge problem. So, and we're still going through the same issues
I
from
don't
year
even
to year.
know if that's 100% because that guy who shot up the church in South Carolina,
Yeah,
they took him out very peacefully.
but he was
They
white
gave him a bulletproof vest
and a hamburger.
and a Burger King on the way.
That's right.
So you can't sit here and say they don't know how to diffuse situations. That man actually killed 9 people and then went
Indeed.
home and chilled. And they were like, we're diffusing, we're good. They didn't feel threatened then
No, you know why? Because
because it's
they're afraid of the culture. They don't understand us. They don't understand what we go through, but they don't seem to understand that we're just humans too.
Mhm.
Okay, every culture, no matter what culture around the world, we have a crazy uncle. You got that crazy aunt. You have the funny uncle. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a pedophile uncle. There's
Which
all that inside every family, right?
yeah,
It doesn't matter what culture, part of the world you come from. Unfortunately, the race and discrimination that has come upon this country and with the police being who they are even our own people who are part of the police force, there's a different culture in the police force that where we even hurt ourselves. So there's another bro code, like a cop code that's even stronger than the community that we have as a code. Until we can come together outside of when something does go down, things will continue to go down. So I've always been probably not the best fan of Black Lives Matter, just because they tend to come out when things go down. When nothing's around, I don't hear from them. I don't know where to find you. Where are you right now? How are you educating in my community or in many communities, anywhere? And maybe I got to do more research, right? But again, I don't see your advertisement on IG. I don't see you reminding me of what happened 2 years ago and how we need to take a stand today. So if something does happen again, will Black Lives Matter rise? I'm sure they will.
Being more consistency, even
I
in
need
the piece.
even and when there's nothing happening. I think that says more volumes when nothing is happening.
How did you say that? I don't remember Black Lives Matter, even with the most recent situation with the cop going into his house to kill him.
Yeah, well, what is that?
Or
the woman in Texas
who also somebody walked into her house.
No, she actually got shot through her window in the backyard. She thought there was a perpetrator, and I didn't hear nothing from them either. So
yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. We had to, as a community, had to get better. We had to be more consistent because they're good. They're consistent about killing us. They're consistent about making sure that we look like a fool and they treat us with no fucking respect, right? We have to get better at being consistent on the times that things are not hot, when things are a little cold, and we're still in the community.
The access and the knowledge can be transferred.
That's when that's when conversations can really happen.
Yeah,
that's when locally we got to take responsibility and go to our police chiefs and say, "Hey, can we talk? Like, this is how I want you to feel. How I feel about my community. I love this place. Well, you know what? There's certain things I hate about this place.
Yeah,
I had good interactions with cops. You know what? I had a bad interaction with a cop. So, if we're honest and we can have that open dialogue when things are cool,
right? I think that's the piece a lot of people miss. Like, we think about, like, for example, the Black Panthers, right?
Right.
They're known for their moments of passion and fire and etc. But in the moments of calm, they were cooking breakfast for kids every morning. They were having turkey drives every Thanksgiving. Like, they were consistent on both ends. Like, we ready when you ready. But if you chilling, we're going to go ahead and do some good in the community.
Exactly.
And I think that's the piece we kind of miss. But I also wonder, and just in the conversation we were just having, I wonder if organizations like Black Lives Matter has the funding they need to be consistent.
Well, again, that comes down with asking as well. You got to be consistent with asking, letting people know. I don't know if you need funds. Where's your website at? You know, it really doesn't cost that much to put your advertisement on Facebook, and it goes to Facebook and Instagram, right? They're getting some type of money. Let us know you need the help. What resources you need. Let's get the word out. But it's not being said. It's not being let out. I don't even know who's the head of it.
I have seen the head of it. It's a Black woman, naturally. I can't think of her name right now, but I have.
Because to me, it's a phrase, but not a face.
Exactly.
And we need more than just a hashtag.
Too, honestly, I think.
I get it. I get it. But it's like, you know what? I'm old school. I still want to have a face to it. I still want to have a connection to it. There should be chapters of Black Lives Matter around the country.
And according to theory, NAACP should be the same thing.
Absolutely.
But I think NAACP has become in a lot of cases, I'm not going to say every chapter, but in a lot of cases, it's become just
the politics come into play.
Definitely politics, for sure.
Because what people don't seem to understand, and this goes back also to our conversation about this whole podcast. When you tend to grow any business, you lose control. And when you lose the control, it gets so big you can't watch everything. And
that's exactly what happened with the Black Panthers. It got too big, and there wasn't structure in place.
Exactly. So you're going to have separate areas where people are really strong and passionate about it and trying to do the good thing, and then other areas saying, hey, Let's use it for this instead. And that goes for any business right now. Yeah. That's why you may see that you may get better customer service from a smaller brand than from some big conglomerate, right? And the same thing goes for us as we're trying to grow ourselves. Like, how big do I want to get? How much money do I want? And how much money is enough? Like, having 500 grand a year, you're rich. That's really good. That's a lot of money.
Tell me about it. I'd like to find out for myself, but
And I have no problem taking $1 million either, right? And I'm not saying I'm going to limit myself. No, we're not. But at the same time, too, it's going to be like, hey, when I grow this podcast, how big do I want to get? How much control do I want to keep or lose, right? Yeah. And that's where me and my wife talk a lot about it, because we have our own production company called MCX Productions, and it's based off her birthday, and she's the sole CEO of it. And she's an Afro-Latina, like I told you. And people who don't know what Afro-Latina is pretty much she's a black person who speaks Spanish, right? So, in a nutshell, and she's Puerto Rican as well. Puerto Ricans, especially in the Caribbean, Cubans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, all derived from black slaves and the native Indians that were there, and Spaniards, right? So we're just kind of a mix.
Every race started off black, but
absolutely, of course,
that's another conversation.
Absolutely.
Even so Asians were one started off. But carry on.
So she wanted us to do it together. I said we still can, but I don't want to be the face of it. I want people to know that, to see your face and see that you're a strong woman that can own your own company. I'll do the background. Make me a president of something, of operations, and I'll do the background.
We'll make it work.
But we'll make it work. So now we have my podcast, which is on YouTube as well, to her YouTube channel that she has. She does lovely things, and she does like home decor and happy planner stuff. That's her thing. We have our son, who's a rapper. He's underneath our production as well. And my other son, he's an author, and he makes beats as well. He's under us as well. So it's a family thing that we're doing. That's what I'm saying? And my son goes to Georgia State, and my older son, he's wants to write, just like I am. We're going to publish his book early next year. And he wrote a short story. So going through the process I did last year to help him out this year, it's so exciting. It's so fun that I can work with him on this project together.
Yeah.
And to talk to him that as an adult that he has become now.
Right.
With him wanting to say, Dad, I don't want to work for nobody. I seen your plight. And he has a job right now where he's going to school full time. He works at Pizza Hut. And he says, I hate it. I don't want to work for nobody else. I want to work for myself. I want to make my own money. And I said, let's do it then. You got 2 more years left of school. Let's get you going, get these books published. And he's actually made some connections being in Atlanta, which is the new Hollywood now. He's actually made a connection with someone who actually does screenwriting.
Love it.
So he's made that connection actually this past week. Yeah. And we were talking about it, and it's very exciting. And again, networking, right? Putting yourself out there, letting people know what you do. Even if it's an Uber ride somewhere, talk to your Uber driver. Sometimes we just want to be to ourselves, and I get it, right? We never know what that person is doing.
Right.
Exactly. You just don't know. And you don't know who they may have spoken to just before they picked you up. The person who doesn't let go. Right? Yeah. And they may have some insight. You know what? I just got this card. I can't use it. Why don't you use it? Right? That does happen. And also always paying things forward. Every time I go to Dunkin' Donuts, I pay for the person behind me. And sometimes it fucked me. I paid like almost $40 for something one time. But it was like, you know what?
Charges got it.
That's it. That's part of it, right? So again, it comes down to your dream, your execution, your passion for it, being honest with yourself as far as what you have to learn. And you're not going to stop learning. You're going to continue educating yourself. And then from there, the biggest thing is just putting it together. And and understand that it's going to take time. Our culture is on some speed factor for some reason, and we hate to take time on building shit.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. With regards to your success that you've experienced, what would you, if you had to pick one thing, what would you say is your number one key to success?
My hard work. My hard work. You know how I am. Me and you, I talk to you. I've consulted you, privately and stuff like that. And I do have a day job like everybody else.
Right.
I work a 12-hour shift at night, and during the day I probably sleep maybe 4 hours, right? I get up,
All right.
I'm editing my podcast. I'm creating graphics for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting it ready to be posted. Then on top of that, at the same time, I'm emailing people to confirm who I invited to come on the podcast. I have them go to my calendar to book the time. So I'm booking people at the same time. Also doing research for the next group of people I want to interview and to vet them as well. Do the
Mm-hmm.
cycle all over again. On top
Right.
of that, writing my book, helping my wife record her YouTube channel, get with my son to publish his book, get my other son to get his creative process going with his album we're going to be creating,
Yeah.
um, and then go back to work.
Yeah.
So I would say my hard work. It's it's always hard work, and you know what? It's it pays off. It really does. You give yourself 3 to 5 years of hard work, determination, some smart shit in there too. You're gonna be successful.
Yeah.
Something's gonna pop off. But if you give up right away and you let your friends or family get into your head, um, they're not supposed to understand what you're doing because they're not you. You know that's okay. They're
And
gonna
God
get it
didn't give them that vision.
exactly, and it's okay. Your lens is your lens. That's
Yeah.
why it's your lens. Go after what you see, and don't expect no one else to see what you see, and take it as an exclusive look into the world that you have in front of you, and make it yours. And I ignored that lens that I had for many years, and I
Okay.
said the second half of my life,
We're gonna get it together.
we're gonna get this shit together. And god damn, my view is beautiful. Let me go live in my view.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like that sometimes. So what final thoughts do you have for us today?
My biggest thing I think for us, especially for me when on this culture thing I'm on, right, black and brown
Yeah.
folks, is yo, do you, man. Like let's really get together and formulate a community that just comes so fucking strong that people have to fuck with us in a
Yeah.
good way. People have to come to us as a resource. We're
Hmm.
so smart, we're so talented, we're so beautiful. And you see that because hip hop came from it, right?
Yeah.
And and you had the dance, you had the graffiti, you had everything, right? Because we made our own written word out of graffiti, right? But then we had the dance to go after it. Then you had the rhythm and the song and the poetry
And the clothes and the
and
TV shows
clothes.
and the
Absolutely,
movies
all
and
that came about. And guess what?
ooh, I miss the 90s.
Oh, you know it. And guess what happened now? There's hardly no rock and roll anymore. Everybody wants to be a hip hop star,
Yeah.
right? Hip hop is around the world.
I feel like we need to be more protective of our culture, honestly.
Well,
It should
we
not be for sale.
it should not be for sale, but we can't just hold it to ourselves and not expose people to how great we are. We got to let people know that we're great. This is who we are. No matter what we do musically or anything else, like rock and roll, yes, it was taken away from us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that was started by us too, right? But at the same time, too, so was jazz, right? All
Mhm.
this stuff was
Yeah,
taken from
all of
us,
it,
right?
like at this
All
point.
of it. But when it comes down to who can do it the best, you don't look any further. So we're gonna have to look at that and we say, well, do I keep it to myself and just keep it for us, or do we say no, screw that, we're gonna make it ourselves? And you know what? Yeah, you want some of this? Then pay me for it. Let's monetize this
But they are not paying what they should be paying.
because what we did is we gave up control from it, like I told you earlier. Once you decide, like I said about the books, right? If you give up your control of it, like which is your masters, right? Of your artist, you
Hmm.
give up your masters, you give up your control. So then, yes, that's when we sold out for the dollar. There's going to be a portion, a percentage of us that still do that. There's no way to get that out as 100%.
It's a matter of knowing because even with the music industry, if there was no one who looked like us who was fighting to say, nah, bro, you should ask for this, how do they know that that's a possibility? All they
Exactly.
know is I got a check bigger than I've ever seen.
Correct.
So I'm winning, not realizing your counterpart who's doing a lot worse as far as talent is
So
clear 4 or 5 times what you make.
just think about it this way. Let's talk about Tyler Perry. Right now
Yeah.
in Atlanta, my biggest inspiration. And he always wasn't my inspiration a lot of times. I didn't like him at first. To be honest with you, I did not like him at first for many years. because I didn't like seeing him in the Hope Medea outfit, right? But
Mm,
that was my personal as a man. I was like, I could do better than that, right? But after years, I got to know his story, and then when he's done in Atlanta now, so people who don't know that he's in Atlanta, he has built on his own
mm-hmm.
330 acres of a movie lot, which
Right.
is bigger than Disney, Warner Brothers, and Paramount put together.
And still have 60 acres left over.
Correct. He's actually built a live replica of the White House on there. That's his
Right.
films his show
Yep.
The Oval on BET Plus. He has actually a trailer park he built in there. He's actually going to do I want to say a battered
For,
women's home and children
in
on the
traffic,
yes.
women who
So
have been trafficked,
yes,
and the
trafficking.
LGBT community who are homeless. Yep.
Yes, on the actual piece of property as well. What does that say? It's like you were saying before, how we got to keep it right. He names the sound stages after prominent black women and men that have
Mm,
been in movies who never got recognition. So we
yep.
can take we can
He did
take
his own not Hall of Fame, but the Hollywood stars. He did his own stars
absolutely.
on
So I
on
think so
camera.
going back to monetizing our stuff, not giving it up, but saying, you know what, we're gonna make our own shit for our own
Yeah.
people. Guess what? I got the space. I'm gonna make money off of it. Okay,
Even
people.
with that example, there was no one to really give him the game. He
No,
learned a lot of what he learned through trial and error, and now he's trying to get other people hit. But think about, what if we had access to this information at the same time that Disney had it?
oh, it'd be totally different.
What if we
Our
had the
wh-
same
when I grew
access as
when I
when
grew up,
Spielberg had it?
yeah, when I grew up, I would have seen people who look like me on the screen. I didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you didn't see it either. Not until recently that's
And
happening.
if you did, they always fit the stereotype. It was
Oh
always
yeah,
because Disney was a racist asshole.
yes, it was. That's what people don't
Now they
understand.
done cleaned it up now. They figuring it out now that he dead.
Right.
But if you look back at like, even if you look at the original, like Cinderella, for example, or if you look at the original, like the first versions of a lot of these stories would end up in a lawsuit these days.
Absolutely. Just the words and the meaning that were used back in those days towards
And
people of color.
the depictions of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Like,
insane.
it's ridiculous.
It
Like
was
you
okay.
said,
It was
it
okay back then.
it was more than okay. It was how he got notoriety.
Yeah. And again, he played he played to the time he was in. And Tyler Perry is playing to the time he's in. He made friends with Oprah. Oprah had her own single studio in Chicago. He was like, let me look around, let me learn from you. And what
Yeah.
he did was, I don't want to make 12 of these. And
Exactly.
he did, and they went after her, right? So that story right there, man, inspirational as fuck.
For sure.
His
Especially
old
when you think
studio,
about him starting off, he was so passionate about his dream.
yes,
He was living in his car for
yes, he
years.
was. He was homeless. Yes, he was. And he was getting his plays out there, and people said, no, your play's not going to do anything. He said, okay, well, I
His
know my
first
audience.
plays did nothing. And then out
Yeah.
of nowhere, people were like, oh, this is good. Huh.
And the
You
best way to take it, you are going to, like, even like I said on my podcast, I was my only listener,
Yeah.
right?
That's how it was when I first started on YouTube. I literally remember logging in and watching my own videos or having it play in the background while I'm getting work done. Like, it's like that sometimes. It,
Absolutely. It's supposed to be. I think
and
it's
I would
definitely
still
supposed
check
to
them
be.
out every Monday just in case that
Just knock them
somebody
out.
happened to listen. Yeah.
And you know what? They are. You know, and they're going to find you somehow, some way. A lot of it is just by sharing. A lot
Yeah.
of it by getting yourself out there. That's why I'm not giving up on my passion. I'm continue growing with my passion,
Yeah.
elevating my quality of content that I put out. If you look at one season to the next, you can see the quality difference where
Yeah.
I'm investing in better camera equipment, to better microphones, to you may see different ways of me interviewing people, even in person. I started doing more people in person to really get Atlanta. Atlanta's Wakanda. I'm in the right fucking city. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree. I agree. And
So,
if y'all
I,
can figure out how to turn the whole state black,
oh,
I would happily
South Georgia is like part of Alabama, so I don't know.
I need the whole state to be, because I really want to see reverse gentrification. I really do. I do. I'm not apologizing.
But think about it. That's what Tyler Perry did to that army base. That army base was a Confederate army base.
Yeah.
So that was him gentrifying it. You know what I'm saying? And what's going to happen is we could do it, and it is being done in Atlanta. Other cities need to come through and look at it.
He's putting in Atlanta. That's huge.
It's amazing, right? So we have to look at what you're doing, what I'm doing as a contribution to all that. We have to look at saying, hey, in the next 5 years from now, our conversations will look different. Our building together will look totally different. And now we're going to be actually building something together, right? And saying, hey, we have this. Yeah. Because I'm gonna tap into your sister and be like, hey, tell your sister I got something I need to film. How much you looking for? I have a production company.
Definitely.
Again, these connections, having a Black woman director, oh my God, that hit so many moods right there. You know what I'm saying? So,
and speaking of Ava DuVernay, she's probably my favorite. She can do no wrong in my world.
What she did with the Netflix special,
When They See
Us.
I met Kevin Richardson in person. Oh my God.
4 of them, actually, I think 3 or 4 of them live next to me. They're not too far from me.
Yeah, a lot of them are in Georgia.
Yeah, they live not too far from me at all.
Kevin, he spoke at a local college in North Carolina, and my undergrads are there. So, we just went to support. Right. And I remember he said something that really broke my heart. So all of us that are in different Greek organizations kind of took a picture together. Then me and my sorority sisters took a picture with just him. And he was like, that's the one thing I missed out on. I wish I could have joined a fraternity. And it broke my heart, because for you to, all of them sacrificed such a pivotal point of their youth.
Yeah.
And there are certain memories that you just can't get back. And I explained to him, I was like, you still can. Please, if that's something you wanted, you definitely still can. And I didn't say it to him, but if you're listening, at this point, because you have the notoriety, I'm sure any organization would be happy to have you as an honorary member.
Absolutely.
But neither here nor there. But it broke my heart for a number of reasons. One, because that was taken from him.
Yeah.
And there was never been an apology. Yes, they got the money, but it's been and by the time you split that 5 ways, pay all the lawyer fees,
taxes,
you really don't see but so much. But even beyond that I saw my ability to be a part of my organization as a privilege. And I've always known it was a privilege, but to hear it in that way, I almost felt like I had taken that privilege for granted. Now, trust me, I bust my ass for the sorority. Whew. But I'm just saying, to hear somebody say, I wish I could have had that experience. It definitely, it touched my heart, for sure.
And that's what we got to do better, taking care of each other.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. We have to know that when someone's coming home, how can we help them?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm reading a book called The New Jim Crow.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if you know about that book or not.
I am here.
And I'm almost done with it. And it's about incarceration.
Right.
And how it is New Jim Crow. And how exactly. And where from the past to now, the rhetoric is the same.
Yeah.
So
Ava DuVernay has a documentary on Netflix called 13th. And it's about the 13th Amendment. And it speaks along the lines of the new Jim Crow, but it talks about how we literally have replaced slavery for imprisonment.
Absolutely. And we're definitely having private prisons where the local government is responsible to make sure those beds are full. If not, they get fined.
Yeah.
It's insane. And most people don't know that.
Yeah.
And they figure the easiest ones to get is us, since we're so plentiful. Right?
Right. And I love Ava. I love her. I love her. But I remember hearing her say when they were talking about the Oprah special after When They See Us.
Mhm.
And she's like, people keep saying the system is broken. It's doing what it was created to do.
Yeah,
The
that's what I'm
system,
reading. That's what the book says. Yeah,
it is functioning exactly how it was intended to function.
yeah.
Problem is, we thought protect and serve meant everybody. Nope.
No, not at all. Not at
Because
all.
even when what is it? I've completely lost it. But the article that allegedly made us free.
I know what you're talking about. I don't
And I
have.
can't even think of this is so crazy. I'm not the history person. But anyways, even when that was really like created, they
Right.
weren't talking about people of color. They was
Yeah.
talking about white people are free and equal. Like
Correct. They were talking about the lower class of white
right.
people, and what comes down to people need to understand when slavery kind of so-called ended, they say, okay, you guys are free now, and they seen the lower white class people engaging with the new freed black slaves. They had a problem with that because they're like, oh, we don't want a bunch of mulatto-looking babies over here now. So what they did was they reminded the lower class white people, hey, you may be who you are, but you're better than them. And when I started that rhetoric, that's when it started the Jim Crow slavery shit. Where okay, well, if you go to jail, okay, you don't have to work on a plantation no more. But guess when you go to jail,
It's
how you gonna spend your time? I'm gonna put you on a plantation to work anyway to do your time, and it was
exactly.
still happening that way.
And it's
So
still this country was built on free labor.
absolutely, and this is where people honestly like. I'm an avid reader. I write books. I read. I know, and you have to like between everything I'm doing, I still find time to fucking read, and you have to educate yourself. And I have a list. I use this app that I take pictures or take pictures of barcodes, and it saves the book for me that I want to read next. I have 110 books that I want to read.
Whew.
Yeah, my wife has 450. She's another planet. I read a lot slower than she does. She zips through books really quick. I'm a horrible like I can't read fast.
You read
But I
faster than me, I assure you.
and what I do is I don't buy a book until I'm done with one book, and then I buy the next one. If you go to Barnes and Nobles or wherever Amazon, don't buy a whole stack of books.
That
Buy
makes sense.
one. Buy
And
the
finish
one you're gonna
it and
and
move.
finish it, and then move on. Because you're gonna get overwhelmed seeing a stack of books. You're gonna take pictures of it, put it on IG. Oh, look at my book, blah blah, and you're never gonna read
But
it.
you're not actually reading it, so what's the
No,
point?
and
Yeah.
you're not gonna receive it and hold on to it. So my recommendation is buy one book, finish it, buy the next one, and then that way your library could grow, and you can have really good conversations about what you have read and give yourself more knowledge of it. My thing, like I said, folks, I have to thrive on my passion. Reading that book about the new Jim Crow, it's it's in my passion. It's in that space. Getting education about that. My next book is going to be about Frederick Douglass, and it's a small book, but again, that's the next one I'm going to read. Again, like you have to look at your history to know what the present and the future is going to be. We can't afford to repeat, and if we forget our past, we're going to be very foolish and then repeat what we did in the past, and then put ourselves in a bad predicament, and
Right.
we can't afford that. You know what I'm saying? So this year in 2020, season three, where Giant Nomad presents, and the reason why I don't call it a podcast is because it's not about me. I'm
Yeah.
presenting your story.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a platform for brown and black people to. This is for brown and black people. It's not mine.
Yeah.
And one day, I will not be the host of it. Someone else will be, and I'm fine with that. And that's the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah.
And that'll be a legacy I could pass on, whether it's family or the right person
Ah,
that's black or brown to take it over, whether
yeah.
it's male or female, or if you don't want to be called a gender, whatever you want to be called. I'm still old school, so I'm
God
going to
bless
be called
America. Right.
exactly. But that's the goal. And no
Yeah.
matter how big it gets, no matter what it is, if I can make a living off of it and get up every day and say I can create some great content, I can still support my family, have a good life. I made it.
Yeah.
I made it. That
Yeah.
that's all I want. That's all I want to do. I don't want to work for somebody else and ignore these stories, these great stories I get to hear.
Yeah.
These fantastic people, like I said, like yourself, they have tremendous backgrounds, so freaking educated, beautiful black women that everyone needs to see.
I,
Everyone needs to freaking tap into your knowledge and get a piece of you. You know what I'm
I
saying?
appreciate that. And that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast is similar to your purpose for yours and really just allow people to see other dreams.
Absolutely.
Right. So my YouTube channel, I kind of had a similar transition. I got tired of talking to myself. So when I decided to go into the podcast where I said it's going to be an interview style, like I don't want to just sit here and talk, because it gets old. It gets old. But thank you so much. Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, seriously, thank you for being a part of the podcast, Chasing Dreams podcast inaugural season. Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Johnny Nomad Presents on my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is all the same. Johnny Nomad Presents. YouTube is the same as well. Johnny Nomad Presents, and come follow me. You can go to Amazon. You can go to type in Johnny Nomad. My first book, Purpose, is there. Kind of like my essay, Inside Out, is there as well, talking about getting your mind right before your body and getting it all together as one, Inside Out. And then look forward to the next book coming out next year, Reflections, which is my third book coming out, and it's exciting. So that's going to be about what happened this year. I'm being very transparent about what went well, what didn't go well.
Yeah.
I lost that I had with my aunt this past year. That was very near and dear to me, which I thank you for being there for me. You were great.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. And just real life shit in the book. Like, it's an inspirational book, no doubt. It's motivating, but it's gonna hit home. It's gonna be like, wow, he wrote this book, but he still has a job. He wrote this book, and he was successful in this area. So it's not just prim and proper. It's not just pretty.
I'm claiming full time for you.
Absolutely, it's going to happen. Like I said, next year is the goal. So 2020 is going to be, man. 2019 was great so far. I can't complain about it. 2020, my 2020 goals already started in August.
Hello.
So I start early. This is really starting my 2020 goals. So I just kick into high gear and fuck shit up. So that's how we have to do.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show, Johnny.